Shalom, this is Rabbi Rob Tobin at B'nai Shalom in West Orange, New Jersey, with the second of my three short pieces on the Untitled Chapter's essential advice to us on the holidays, and that is to say that Teshuvah, Tefillah, and Tzedakah, Ma'avirin Nidroa Gezerah, that when things are hard, and God knows this year they have been hard, that acts of return repentance, acts of prayer, and acts of tangible generosity can make life more livable, can make the severity of the decree, as we say, our fate for the year ahead, mitigated, more beneficial, less bad. Today we're going to talk about that middle piece, Tefillah, which is prayer. In Judaism, sometimes we have a hard time with prayer, I think because we have such a rich tradition of prayer books and written prayers and printed prayers, so that typically when you come to synagogue, you are handed a book, and there are a couple hundred pages of Hebrew words that we go through, sometimes singing joyously, sometimes silently. And this is called prayer. And yet, when you have a moment in your life that is deeply personal, deeply sad or happy, where you wish to express some sense of greater meaning to the cosmos, to the world, to God, to your heart, to each other, to life, that we don't find those words on the random page that the cantor or the rabbi may have just called out in the middle of this service. And so you have to find a way to express your heart and your soul and your mind in this mode of being called prayer. And I want to reflect on that with you. So prayer is essentially a complex mental, spiritual behavior. Different religions approach it in different ways. But in Judaism, essentially, it's considered a form of communication and a form of focus. That is to say, Judaism traditionally does believe that there is a God, a divinity in the cosmos that is intelligent and loving and aware and receptive to our reaching out to communicate, to form a connection, to form a relationship. And this is not necessarily done by speaking out loud, because that divinity does not have a physical ear that needs sound waves to reach it. That divinity is one who can hear and penetrate the hopes of the soul, the communication of your heart. And so your soul and your heart may animate you to speak words out loud, but your soul and your heart, as you well know, can also internally simply reflect on things, feel things, think things, hope things, invent things, come up with ideas and plans, or reflect on losses and times gone by. And so it is that internal activity of your heart, your soul, your mind, that is the essential beginning point of prayer. So if you are to pray, you really should find a place where you will be able to focus. And I don't mean necessarily some kind of mantra or meditation, or if those things are good for you, go ahead, enjoy them. But they don't replace traditional prayer, and they don't replace the kind of communication with a being who is divine that we're trying to focus on. So when you get that focus and you get that idea, the first thing that you want to try and intuit, you want to try to feel in a spiritual manner, is that you are in the presence of divinity. This is everywhere in the world, in every moment, in every time. And yet, if we can focus ourselves, we may actually be able to have that awareness that God is fully present and that we are, in some ways, immersed in divinity at all times. Once we are immersed in divinity and we have that idea, then we really do want to activate an emotion. In our feelings, we have to try and animate some sense of love for the power and the source of purpose and meaning that is embodied in God and in ourselves, and that relationship is one of love. I'm deeply grateful, and I have love, affection, and wonder for who you are, God. And I hope that you have love, affection, and wonder for who I am and who I'm trying to be. Now, on the other side of that, however, is God is always aware and always watching and always present in our finest moments and in our worst. And all of that is our human abilities, which He gave us, the power to do good, the power to do evil. And we need to look at our behaviors and realize that If you would have been embarrassed if your colleague or your spouse or your parent or your friend saw you do something or heard what you just thought, then that's something that God has already seen and heard. And so there is some sense of fear and some sense of accountability that we really should have in that same moment where we know, God, you are aware of me. I am not perfect. I make mistakes, sometimes deliberate, sometimes not. I have these thoughts, I have these feelings, sometimes petty, sometimes noble. And I am aware that I'm accountable for all of that, even the stuff other people don't know. And that brings fear and trepidation into the relationship, as it should, in the face of purpose, meaning, accountability, morals, and ethics, all the things that we want to be. So the purpose of prayer is to communicate with God, to acknowledge oneself, and also to express a hope to know more and to be better. And so our prayers are prayers sometimes asking God for things. Those things may or may not come to us. Asking God, however, for the things we need to address what we have and what we have been given, those gifts are always given to us. So we have prayers of gratitude, acknowledgement, and we have prayers of petition. And the best and most likely positive answer that you would get for your prayer is if you pray for things like serenity and strength and patience and love and the things that you need to face the difficult things. Do I pray for healing? I do. Do I think my prayer brings healing? I don't. Do I ask God for the strength in the face of the miracle of healing that is in my body all the time? I sure do. And so I pray for you, and I pray for my family, and I pray for my own best self. And I pray to God with whom I have a relationship, because every step of the way I have been held, I have been upheld, I have been nourished, and I have been granted the opportunity to do what should be done in the world. Ultimately, Emil Fackenheim was right when he suggested that God doesn't act in this world the way you would have him act in this world because you think God would need hands to do those things. The truth is God does have hands. He has your hands. He has your legs. He has your voice. He has your heart. And it is aligning with God, as Heschel would say, that we become identified with the God to such a level that we will do God's bidding because it will be our own will. May your prayer bring you closer to God and yourself. May it be a focus, a force of strength, a force of accountability, that it becomes an expression of community that you can contribute to the Judaism that is unfolding in our day. Prayer can help you address and face the Roa HaGezerah, the difficult things that are coming to us in life. A prayer life will make it better. Shana Tova Tika Tevu, may you be inscribed for good in the year ahead.